So part of the reason I was so adamant about including women and girls in our foreign policy, not as a luxury, but as a central issue, is because they're often the canaries in the mine. You watch women and girls being deprived of their rights. Some of them never have them. Some of them lose them. And among those rights is control over their bodies, control over their own health care, control over the size of their families. And it is a disturbing trend that you see in a lot of societies that are very unstable, anti-democratic, and frankly, prone to extremism.
All right, folks, welcome to Give Me Five. That was Hillary responding to the Hobby Lobby decision. Now, as much as I disagree with her bringing up all these issues with regard to this very narrow ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, implying that somehow we're now denying women of their rights and headed towards these other countries in their abuse of women, at least she gave an answer, right? You heard her answer. That was part of her answer, but she answered the question. She didn't run from it. Which brings me to Chris Christie, the governor of the state of New Jersey, my governor, if you will. I live in the state of New Jersey. And Chris Christie was on Squawk Box on CNBC. And they asked him about, well, if you run for president, are you going to run as a pro-lifer, taking away women's rights? So watch this.
You think a Republican candidate should run on taking away the right to choose from women?
The Republican candidate should tell people what they feel on issues that people ask you about. If you get asked a question, answer it. That's all.
If you get asked a question, answer it. That's all. Now, keep in mind, that's what he said. If you get asked a question, answer it. So here comes the question. In the next breath, here comes the question.
You're pro-life, but what would you do in terms of what we've been talking about this morning, just the ruling that came down from the Supreme Court yesterday? Was the Supreme Court right in its decision?
Who knows? Is the Supreme Court right?
I'm sorry. Didn't he just say his advice to Republicans are, if you're asked a question, answer it? And then he's asked a question, and he says, who knows? Oh, my goodness. And he went on from there.
Fact is that when you're an executive, your Supreme Court makes a ruling and you got to live with it unless you can get the legislative body to change the law or change the Constitution. The point is like, why should I give an opinion on whether they're right or wrong?
Why should you give an opinion if the court was right or wrong? Because you were just asked about it. You were just asked the question. A moment before that question, you said your advice to Republicans are, if you're asked a question, answer it. That's the quote. And then you're asked a question, and now you're saying, why should I answer it? I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I had to bring this to you folks. Now, he goes on to say, well, the Supreme Court, once they rule, if you want to overturn it, that wasn't the question. What do you think of Hobby Lobby? He will not answer the question. He will not be pigeonholed. At least Hillary took a stand on it. More.
In the end of the day, they did what they did. That's now the law of the land, unless people in the elected branches try to change it. This is the way you get bogged down in those things. You know what? I don't think that's the most central issue that we need to talk about this morning when you look at the challenges that face our country. And if I allow people to put me into that box, then shame on me. I'm not a good politician. I'm not a good leader.
You're not a good politician and you're not a good leader if you weigh in on a Supreme Court decision. See, this is one of the things I don't like about Governor Christie. And when I had Governor Christie on my radio show during the quest to build a mosque at Ground Zero in New York City, I asked him as governor of a state that lost hundreds of people on 9/11, I said, where do you stand on the building of a mosque at Ground Zero? And you know what he said? Who am I to weigh in? I should have no say in this. My opinion doesn't matter. Governor Christie shies away. He doesn't want to be pigeonholed. He doesn't want to give an opinion. He doesn't want to answer the question. So that's why I found it so odd indeed, that he told his advice to Republicans, when you're asked a question, just answer it. That's all. And then he will not answer this question. He's going to have to do a lot better than that if he hopes to be the president of the United States. On the Steve Malzberg Show.